Welcome everybody. My name is David Moran. I'm the CEO of Mental Health Partners. We provide mental health first aid training in South Australia and throughout Australia. And I'm here tonight to talk about mental health first aid and the horse community in Australia. So I thought we'd start with some nice pictures of horses and various horse activities. And hopefully some of you can recognise something of yourselves in some of those pictures. So I just want to start by talking a bit of an overview of what we're going to talk about during this session. First thing we're going to talk about is who are mental partners, what we are and what we're not. We're then going to talk about what is mental health first aid and, just as importantly, what it's not. We're then going to talk about why we should do mental health first aid. And after that, we'll talk specifically about how mental health first aid relates to the horse community in Australia. So, who are mental health partners? Well, as I've already said, I'm the CEO, and Mental Health Partners is a family business owned and operated here in South Australia. We started off just working out of our house and have expanded our business exponentially over the last few years, training exclusively mental health first aid in its various guises. Mental health first aid comes in a whole range of different courses: standard course, older person's course, younger person's course, and a whole range of different things that I'll speak a little bit more about as we go through. If you're outside South Australia, we will either arrange to come to you. We do various trips around Australia. We've just come back from Melbourne last week, or depending on where you are and what your situation is, we'll put you in touch with one of our partners that we have throughout Australia. Currently, we can organise a partner to train people throughout Australia. The only place we don't currently have a partner is the Northern Territory, but we are in discussions with somebody up there. And the reasons that we need to be in discussions with people will become clear as we go through, because we have very, very specific things that we require when we teach our mental health first aid courses. So we started out with our mission statement, and our mission statement is training with integrity to strengthen our community. Now, a lot of mission statements people are not very enamored with. A lot of people don't think mission statements mean anything. They're just fancy words that corporations put up on websites to make people feel better. Well, we started with our mission statement, and we turned to our mission statement to inform the way our business runs. And if we look at our mission statement in two sections, the first section is training with integrity. And we like to support our mission statement with physical action. So when we say we train with integrity, we put actual physical action behind that statement. Now, because of time restrictions tonight, I'm not going to be able to go through everything that we do to physically support that statement. I'll just tell you one thing. When we say we train with integrity, in every single one of our mental health first aid courses, we have 2 trainers available for every minute of that course. And the reason we do that is very, very simple. Mental health first aid can be quite confronting for people, and some people have difficulty dealing with the information during the course, and they need to get up and leave the training room and take care of their own mental health. And if that situation arises and there's only one trainer available, then the trainer has a difficult decision to make. Do they stay in the room and support the people in the room, or do they go out of the room and support the person who's upset? Neither of those things are acceptable to us, so we say we will have 2 trainers in every room for every minute of every course, so that we can support every person in that course. So that's what we mean when we say we train with integrity. If we look at the second half of our statement, it says strengthening our community. What do we do to put physical action behind strengthening our community. Again, we do lots of things, but I'll just tell you about one. When we say we strengthen our community, we recognise that in our community at any given time, there's people who can afford to come to training courses and there's people who can't afford to come to training courses. We understand that these people are all part of our community. So in every one of our courses, we offer a free place, a minimal one free place, and discounted places. So if there are people in our community who simply would not come to this course because they can't afford it, we offer them the opportunity to come to our course and not have to pay so that they can become mental health first aiders and begin helping us strengthen our community. So that's our mission statement. We train with integrity to strengthen our community, and we're serious about it. We put physical action behind all that, and if you want more information about that, I'm more than happy at any time to take your call and talk through all the other things we do to support that statement. Why do mental health partners do mental health first aid? Well, we have a lived experience. I'm the CEO and I have a sister who lives with depression. I have a son who lives with an anxiety disorder. Our lead trainer, Deb Gleason, lives with depression and has a daughter who lives with an anxiety and depressive disorder. And another one of our trainers, Caitlin, has a mother who lives with depression and a sister who lives with an anxiety disorder. So we all have a lived experience of these things, and we want people to feel better and live well in the community, even with their mental illnesses. We want to strengthen our community. We understand that this is a numbers game. The more people that have mental health first aid skills, the stronger our community will be. That's just a fact. The more people who are able to help people with mental illnesses, the better those people will live and the better the whole community will be. There's absolutely no doubting that. It's just a simple function of people with good information make good decisions and people with no information make bad decisions. And we also know that this information saves lives. This is part of the reason we do this as well. I could tell you a lot of stories about lives that we personally have saved, but I'll just tell you one. We did some training in country South Australia recently in the Barossa Valley, and there was people from all over the local community at that course, people from Rotary Club, people from SES, from CFS. And after the course, I always check in with people, random sets of people, to find out how the course has affected them and whether or not they have had a good experience. And I was talking to one of the gentlemen who'd done this course and asked him if he'd used his mental health first aid skills in the 2 weeks since the course. And he said to me, look, I have to say that it's been one of the best things I've ever done, because I was having a chat to one of my very, very close friends of over 40 years the other day, and he said some things to me that really worried me. And I didn't have my first aid manual with me, and I sort of left his house and I was thinking about the things he'd said. And I went home and I got my manual and I had a bit of a read of it. And I went back to his house and I said, look, I'm just a bit worried about you, and I want to talk to you about, males in Australia dying by suicide. Are you having suicidal thoughts? And this friend of his admitted that he was. And they were able to make a plan and keep that person safe and really make a very, very, very tangible difference in that person's life, so that that person didn't die. They got the help they needed. So we know that mental health first aid saves lives, and this is one of the reasons we do this. Our current clients include Riding for the Disabled here in South Australia, Horse SA in South Australia. Our lead trainer, Deborah, is a person who's previously worked as an RDA instructor and coach, and one of our other trainers has also worked as an RDA coach. So we have a lot of affinity with the horse community here in South Australia. Our lead trainer lived on the Yorke Peninsula. Our secondary trainer worked in Kersbrook and in Whyalla with riding for disabled. So there's a lot of affinity with the horse community in South Australia within Mental Health Partners. So we move on now to what is mental health first aid. Mental health first aid is the help provided to a person developing a mental health problem, experiencing a worsening of an existing mental health problem, or in a mental health crisis. And we're not going to talk about crisis during this session, but if anybody's got any questions about that, they can certainly contact me and I'm happy to talk to them about it. The first aid is given until appropriate professional treatment is received or until the crisis resolves. So mental health first aid training follows the successful model of conventional first aid. So let's just talk about an accident. I think we could all agree if you've got people riding horses, one of the absolute certainties of that situation is you can have people falling off of horses. So if we think about a situation where somebody's fallen off a horse, they're on the ground, they go to get up, and then they scream in pain, they clutch one of their arms to their chest, they're struggling to stand up. A first aider in that situation would start doing what first aid is. They would start assessing, okay, here's a problem. Somebody's screaming, they've fallen off a horse, they're clutching their arm to their chest, something's not right, I better go and find out what's going on. So they're starting to assess what's going on. They move over to that person. They start asking them questions. How are you? What happened? Can I look at your arm? What does it feel like? So they're assessing the injury. If the person says, oh, I've just hurt my arm, they might take them away from the current situation, out of the way from horses and other people. They might, if it's a hot day, sit them in the shade. If it's a cold day, sit them down and put a blanket over them. They might ask them some more questions. Can you wiggle your fingers? These sorts of things. They would be doing first aid. And then if it didn't seem that there was an actual physical break or serious injury to that person's arm, they might say, look, just sit here for half an hour or so, have a little drink of water, take it easy, stay warm or stay cool, and then I'll ask you about this again in about half an hour and see how you're going. And then in half an hour, if that person was starting to get better, they'd wish them well, tell them, look, it still hurts really bad tomorrow, go to the doctor, but I think you'll be okay. So they've performed first aid. If they go back to that person and the arm's still hurting the same, they might say, look, do you think we should take you to the doctor or take you to the local hospital or call an ambulance for you? So they've performed first aid and that person would get better. So if we think about a similar situation in mental health, say somebody has anxiety, if you are a mental health first aider, you may notice something a little bit odd. You might start performing first aid. You might go over to that person and start asking them questions. How are you? What's going on today? How are you feeling? And if they were a little bit anxious, but not too bad, you might sit them somewhere cool if it's hot. You might sit them somewhere warm if it's cool. You might keep discussing with them how they're feeling. You're performing first aid. And then if that person started to feel a bit better, you might say, look, go home, take it easy for the rest of the day. If you're still feeling bad tomorrow, ring your doctor. Or if that person wasn't getting any better or in fact was getting worse, you might say to them, look, who should we call? Should we call somebody to come and get you? Should I take you home? Should I take you to the doctor? And if it was very, very serious, you might even call an ambulance. So that's first aid. That's mental health first aid. So mental health first aid courses train members of the public to give early help to developing mental health problems and assistance in crisis situations. And what mental health is not, it's not therapy, and it does not teach participants how to diagnose. We tell you some of the symptoms of some of these illnesses, but we don't expect you to diagnose. If you saw somebody with a hurt arm, nobody would expect you to reset that arm or put a cast on it because you're not a doctor. If you see somebody in a serious mental health situation, nobody expects you to diagnose them and give them counselling. You're not a psychologist, you're a first aider. So that's what mental health first aid is. Why should the public do mental health first aid? Well, mental health problems are very common. Currently, the statistics for adults in Australia is that 20% or 1 in 5 people have a mental illness today. 47%, or nearly half of adults in Australia, will experience a mental health condition in their lifetime. Many people are not well informed. 39% of all working people in Australia have some sort of first aid skill. So if you talk to your friends or work colleagues and you ask around, normally about 1 in every 3 to 4 people will say, yep, I've done first aid, I've done CPR or some sort of first aid skills. But only 2% of working people in Australia have mental health first aid skills. So if we look at those figures, we know that 1 in 5 people today have a mental illness, 47% in their lifetime, but only 2% of people have any mental health first aid skill. So the numbers are all out of whack. 40% of people have first aid skills, but the amount of people physically injured today is a lot less than 20%. A lot of people don't seek help. So if 20% of people have a mental illness today, that is 1 in 5 people, that's about 5 million Australians today have a mental illness, but only about 35% of those people get help. And the reasons for that are many and varied. We teach you a lot of that in the full mental health aid, first aid course, but I don't have a lot of time to go into that today. But that figure is true. Only 35% of people with a mental illness get help. 3,000 or thereabouts people die by suicide every year in Australia these days. 3,000, yet road deaths are only 1,200. Now, if the road deaths suddenly increased to 3,000, there would be an enormous media campaign, police campaign, ambulance campaign. Politicians would be out, shouting to the rooftops that we need to stop this because it's not acceptable. But 3,000 people die by suicide every year, and the new statistics came out for 2016 this week, and it showed a 9.1% increase in suicides, not a decrease. So this is why we should be doing mental health first aid. The Work Health and Safety Act includes the statement, health means physical and psychological health. And it has requirements for employers to, in provision F, the provision of any information, training, instruction or supervision that is necessary to protect all persons from risk to their health. And remember, health means physical and psychological health, and their safety arising from work carried out as part of the conduct of their business. So it's absolutely critical under the Work Health and Safety Act that employers take their responsibilities about people's mental health seriously. Okay. How is mental health first aid relevant to the horse community? Well, the first thing we need to think about is the main areas where you're going to run into people that may be experiencing mental health issues. And those main areas are volunteers and family. Mental health problems are common, as we just saw. Everyone should have mental health first aid skills so they can assist others who are experiencing these issues every day. Early intervention is the best way to ensure someone will live well with their mental illness. You'll notice the language there. We don't say someone will recover. We talk about living well. If somebody has a mental illness, they have a mental illness. Very, very, very few people with mental illnesses fully recover. We talk about living well. My sister has depression. She lives a great life. She lives well, but she still has depression. What should you be aware of with the people in your contact? You should be looking for changes in behaviours that may indicate that a contact or a person you're around has mental health problems. For example, not attending events, not returning phone calls, displaying unusual behaviours, lack of clarity or thought. Contacts may not complete tasks because they forget. They have a lack of motivation, make poor decisions, or feel overwhelmed by everyday tasks such as communicating with others, or basic care of animals, or basic care of their property. So if somebody's got a mental illness, one of the first things that falls away is their basic care for themselves, their property, their animals, basic returning of calls, those sorts of things, because they're spending so much of their energy dealing with their mental health, they just can't keep those things up. What should you be looking for within your family? You should be looking for changes. If a person is normally happy, bright, energetic, then suddenly they're flat, emotionless or tired. If a family member is normally very neat, tidy, proud of their workspace or their appearance, but then they appear sullen, untidy, or their appearance is untidy or lacking their usual style, these are all indicators that a person is not well. And they're the types of things that we teach you to recognise in mental health first aid so that you can be prepared to apply the skills that we teach you to help people. Now, that's the very, very basics of mental health first aid. I am happy to take questions and give answers to anybody. You'll see the course outlined there. And if you need any more information, my phone number is on the bottom.